Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is June 26, 2018, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the economic events of the day, later today at 4 o'clock South African time, consumer confidence number coming out of the United States. Now, this is really a very important number because this is really, the impetus of how people are spending, and much of the economy is really based on confidence, on consumer confidence specifically. The more consumers are spending and more consumers are optimistic about the markets, the more the market and the market engine actually functions. So this is really the most important lubricant of the markets as a barometer to see, directional move in the markets. Now, the U.S. market had a big correction in the Dow Jones yesterday. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, but let's see what's been happening at the market at large. So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD, and sure enough, yesterday we had this breakout from the 116.90-ish level. We actually anticipated some sort of a resistance at that level. However, it did break it out on the upside. Now we're hitting a minor support level right here at 117.17-ish level, as we've hit that several times before. So this is actually another resistance level that we may not break above. Now, if we do break this, then we could definitely see it continue its rally upwards into the 1780-ish level, 1778-ish level. So that's something to consider later today. However, if we do make a correctional move, this really means that we'll be back into the 1650-ish level. So, we're really at a midpoint here in terms of a trading range. However, if we do take into consideration that we've retraced from 125 euro to a dollar to 115-ish, this bounced from 115-ish level, excuse me, to 117 is really, 150 pips is not a big deal. So, to say that it's now correcting itself, we're going to be back into 118 level, that has yet to be proved. So, ultimately, on the outer rims of our resistance and support levels, 115.16-ish level and 118.19-ish level. That's a 300 pip, range to be in altogether. So, we're closing in at the top part of the range. I might actually even look to, if we do get to the 1780-ish level or 90-ish level, to actually start, shorting it with anticipation it's going to correct and continue trading in somewhat of a range. Now, if we look at the GBP USD, not as strong as the Euro is versus the USD. It's trading at 132.50-ish level, and it hasn't really broken up on the high side. We're looking at a 4-hour chart, and you see that it hasn't broken up to the 33-ish level. It seems to imply either it's not in play or it's just weaker. Probably more the latter than the first, because this has really been the first thing to go down on the downside. We're actually hitting a minor resistance level right here at 132.80-ish level. So if we do see a correctional move later today, that's to be anticipated. USD Swiss franc on the downside, hasn't really broken further with velocity, with momentum, but still pretty weak. Especially since we've tried to bounce here a couple of times before, and now we're really just faltering. So again, the bottom side of it, 98.13 would be my support level. We still have about 50 to 60 pips to get there. However, I don't think we'll have major, moves in the Swiss franc until either some news comes out or some external impetus, moves the market upwards. Looking at the USD Rand, now this was a big play yesterday, 1345. We actually mentioned this, that if it held this line, that it wouldn't break lower. So it did hold it yesterday. So, kind of defer the fact that it held the support level, just one more time. The question is whether or not, moving forward, it's going to hold this level, or is it going to break this 1345-ish level as, the trading sessions continue. That's something to keep of note. But the most important part to really realize is that if we do break it, then we could, see it go back down to the 1310-ish level, maybe even 13-ish level, for a correctional move on the downside. Now, jumping into the Turkish Lira. Now this was obviously quite in play over the weekend with the elections. As it stands, Erdogan, who was the previous premier, is going to continue moving forward. So, a little bit of a correctional move we had yesterday from 473 down to 455. We're bouncing off of that and trading at 466. I still think that we're going to correct itself, maybe settle around 446-ish level. as we continue trading throughout the sessions this week. Okay, so this is actually something that you got to keep an eye on. Just put a little feelers there, and then I don't think it's going to go just at one time. I think it's going to just trickle down and correct itself over time. Looking at gold broke that 1270-ish support level, and we're trading right now at 1264, and we're looking at a weekly chart just to give you a perspective of how much we've sold off from 1330-ish level earlier in what was it, May, at the beginning of May, and now we're trading at 1263. Now I have a target of this moving forward to 1244, 1243. We're only about 20 points away from it. So ultimately I'm biased on this on the downside, not to say that we might not get a bounce, but it hasn't gone with some force, with some velocity, but it has been trickling down. Okay, so that's to keep in mind for later today. Now looking at the Dow Jones. All right, now this was definitely a big play yesterday, shading off of 400 points off the Dow Jones. That's a major retracement and really following the DAX. Okay, the DAX kind of carried the Dow Jones further down as the Nasdaq just last week made all-time new highs. Okay, so the correctional moves going into the summer, it's completely within consideration, as we've been trading within a range ever since we've faltered back in February. Okay, so I'm putting a lot of weight onto this consumer confidence number later today. I think that the market sold off in anticipation of that, and we happen to be just at a pretty decent support level. Okay, decent meaning significant. Okay, we're trading at 24,321 right now, but just above the 24,242. So as the number comes out today, if it is positive, obviously we can bounce off of it. However, if we do shade this 24,242 and do breach it, that means we could go back to the 23,800-ish level, okay, which would be a major retracement since we haven't been there since April. So that's something to consider for today. DAX, same story. We're shifting onto support level here at 12,300-ish level after this massive sell-off, well, close to 700 to 800 points here on the DAX as a sell-off, double top as you can see, but it's due for a bounce. Okay, so I wouldn't look to get aggressively short here, obviously, especially since we are closing in on the 30 level on the RSI, as you can see. So I do anticipate some sort of a bounce here. Not sure how big of a bounce is going to be, or are we going to be trading a new trading range? That's yet to be seen. Okay, so keep that in mind as that continues later today. Johannesburg Stock Exchange, same story. Okay, so the indices are really sold off across the board. Okay, so that needless to say, is something that's systemic. It's not something that's isolated just to the Dow or just to the DAX. And just and that's the beauty of this market, is that when you see it across the board, it seems that there's some rhyme and reason to it, and trading that type of environment becomes that much more valid. Looking at Bitcoin here, we're really flirting with this support level at 6,100, as you can see here. We didn't want to go further down. It looked like we were going to break it, and then we didn't. So we're just sideways trading right now at 6,200. Nothing really much to say. Okay, we've breached at 6,600. However, it's not for breaking down further down. If it is, I'd like to see some sort of breakout move, some sort of aggressive, momentum move on the downside, even to 1,000 points at least, for us to get that. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.